Hello and welcome to BikeSocial. I'm Michael Mann. I'm here at Bruntingthorpe Proving Ground and I've got the 2019 BMW S1000RR M. That's the top spec version. What we're going to try and achieve today is we're going to do some performance testing with this 2-mile straight. We've got the V-Box data logger set and ready to go. We've got the onboard cameras ready to go. We're going to check out top speed, 0 to 60, 0 to 100, 0 to 150, and so on. We're going to then put it on a dyno, the RPM bikes in Northampton, to see how it performs there. Performance Parts in Daventry are going to provide us with an Akrapovic exhaust system. We're then going to put that on, go back to the dyno and come back to Bruntingthorpe to see what difference that full system makes. All the fun of the fair. Right, we've got launch control set. I need a helmet, then we're going to go. So this is RPM Bikes in Northampton. It's stage 2 of our day of performance testing, just to see if this exhaust system is going to make much of a difference. So here we are on the dyno. We're going to put the S1000RR on there. It's going to measure engine speed, speed at the wheel, we've got torque. It'll be interesting to see how it compares with the data log we've already used at Bruntingthorpe. They're just trying to find where to plug all the relevant bits to, so yeah, stripping down the bike.
BMW are claiming 203.8 brake horsepower. Okay. I would assume that's going to be at the rear wheel.
I assume it's probably at the crank.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll find out for real in the moment.
What's your guess?
Probably stock bike 184.
184.
All right.
Cool. That's it.
Okay.
Ian, what have you found? We've done how many runs just then?
We've done about 7 runs because you'd pre-warmed it, which is good. What we're looking for is an even power increase each time we do the run. So from file number 7, we peaked out at 202.7, and then 8 and 9, we started to reduce, which means we've gone over the threshold with the heat within the bike. So we stop at a maximum, go 2 more just to make sure we don't increase again, and that way we know we're producing 202.7 at the back wheel. You're running just under 84 foot-pound of torque on a very good flat line from around about sort of 7,000 all the way up. It doesn't peter off at all. It
Phenomenal motorbike.
Yeah, it must pull very well in the higher RPM.
Hugely impressive.
It's very impressive.
It's got such a massive band of torque.
Yeah.
You can tell when you ride it, anywhere from sort of 5 through 12. It's just, it's straight through.
Fueling is also on this bottom graph. This dotted line that you can see running across, this is what they class as perfect lambda, which is 13.2. You can see from here, we're running very lean, a little bit at around about 5, which isn't too bad. That'll give you that crisp pull.
Yeah.
She richens out a little bit around about 8, and then back at 12, we're hitting dead on lambda. So it'll be interesting later on with the exhaust change.
Yeah, big time.
See what the fueling's doing. You know, you could probably say within the day that we've done it that's quite warm, there's a horsepower. The tyre that we're using may take a difference because it's a super sport one, whereas on a dyno we tend to run a hard one.
Yeah.
I can get 3 horsepower with a hard tyre.
Really?
Go onto a slick, you can lose anything up to 10 horsepower.
Could you?
On a slick.
Even from that level of horsepower?
Yeah, we proved that earlier in the year. I had FS3 racing on the dyno. And they lost 12 horsepower, told them to put a standard tyre on it, come back, gained 15.
No way.
performance parts in Daventry, official importer of such awesome brands as Akrapovic. Marshall and Liam are fitting the brand new full exhaust system from, it's headers, isn't it, Marshall? It's the whole lot.
Yeah,
all the way
complete
through.
system from headers all the way back. The standard bike has got a kind of one-piece welded header set with all the cats and everything in. It gains weight and takes away power due to the very nature of it, you know.
Ticks the Euro 5 box.
Ticks the Euro 5 box, which is obviously what the manufacturers have to make sure that they adhere to. It's been a nice one to fit, actually. It's the first time we've seen one of these. It's been relatively easy. Could have done with slightly smaller hands, of course. But it's the same with all these new bikes.
What's impressive is you take all this, you strip so much of the fairing away, and there's wires and bits and hoses and all sorts all over the place.
Absolutely, you know, they're trying to fit an awful lot of technology into a very small platform. It's the first one we've come across where they've actually, any bike from any manufacturer that I've physically seen myself, where there's actually 4 lambda sensors to make sure it adheres to the very strict emissions.
So what are we expecting from this? So it's going to save how much weight?
Be over 1 kilo in weight saving.
Nice.
Obviously power to weight being what we're looking for.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we'll see very shortly, back on the dyno, obviously exactly what we're looking at getting.
Are you expecting much?
Yeah, sort of mid-range, there'll be an awful lot.
So as opposed to peak, it'll just be...
Yeah, what you normally get is kind of minimal amounts peak, so normally 2 to 3 horsepower, but mid-range is where it's designed to pull through.
And it's designed specifically
for this bike,
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, there's not one part other than the springs which have been pulled through from any other bike. It's completely redesigned from the ground up. It's got the provision to fit a baffle. At the moment,
Yeah.
it's not in there, but obviously we'll try it with baffle in and baffle out. You know, we all want baffle out, we all want the sounds, but we do have to make sure that people can get through track day noise limits.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And if we get the chance today to take it back to Bruntingthorpe, I think they'll probably prefer baffling too.
Absolutely.
And what was the cost on that?
It's £1,660 for the full system. For the stainless, slightly more for the full titanium, but this gives great longevity, good power, sounds the piece,
Yeah.
and it looks very nice as well.
That's the key, unfortunately.
Over the standard muffler.
Yeah, what do you make of that? So it's the
Well, you've got
full system, no baffle.
Yeah, running no baffle on the full system. Well, you've got a big gain coming up, as you can see from the chart here, running from around about 6,000 all the way up to 11.
Yes.
Peaking average probably about 6 to 7 horsepower. Here showing nearly 10 horsepower gain.
That's what, 8,500?
Yeah, 8,500 there. We've got, well, that is 11 horsepower.
11 horsepower difference in the
Yep,
mid-range.
absolutely. And then you're running through there on that, you've got a 7 foot-pound of torque as well.
Yeah. So that's what, about 8,250?
That's
like that?
it. The other thing that you can see from that graph is your torque curve is also flattened all the way across here, giving you even more torque.
Because it was craving that.
Exactly. And also giving it a nice flat line as well all the way up. Very good, all the way up to 11,500.
I mean, considering it's not, we haven't done anything with electronics. It's
No,
literally just
it's
taken
just
a piece
literally-
off and put another piece on.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yep.
And what about the air-fuel mixture?
The air-fuel mixture, by taking out what we call the blockage, the cat, we're obviously running slightly leaner down here on the lower part of the RPM.
So the blue line's the new.
That's it, the blue one's the new one. As we come back across here around about 8,000, she'll dip across just to run a little bit rich. As it knows it's running lean, the lambdas will throw a bit more fuel in and offset and run a little bit rich along all the way up to 12.
Fantastic. And now, when you say, like, so if it gets close to that middle line, that sort of optimum line, does that then, will that affect the power and the torque?
Yes, it does. On the low down throttle openings in here, we could increase the torque a lot.
And you mentioned about the difference in time of day.
Yeah, we're about 4 o'clock. We're probably running up now on the temperature. I bet we're easily another sort of 8 degrees. It'll just flatten off the power very slightly. Although the machine tries to compensate through it with its program, the heat within the room, obviously you can feel in here it's warm. It just generates still air, which goes back into the airbox system. And to compensate, it'll drag some of the fuel out, which decreases the power. If we did it exactly the same in the morning, we probably would have been another sort of 1 to 2 horsepower on maximum.
See, if GCSE maths was this interesting,
we'd all do it.
I'd have been really clever at school.
Yeah, we'd all do it. Absolutely. So 6th gear power run, all through the gears, we're running 192 mile an hour.
192. So on the dyno runs earlier, the ones that we're actually officially sort of taking as given, that's a 5th gear straight.
Yeah, unless you're doing a race bike, road bikes, anything over 1000cc we do 5th gear. Anything below a 600 we do 4th gear. And it just gives a broad spread from the low RPM. So on some of the big twins, we might start at 3,000, these we start at 2,000. And that's how we calculate what we're doing is a standard 5th gear. This, just to give you an idea of what it's doing in the top, we've gone through all the gears so that we can see, and then we'll pull top gear and we've got 192 mile an hour.
Well, that's not too shabby.
It's not too shabby at all.
Blimey, what a rush. I tell you what, 186 is what I saw on the dash. And there's a bit of a variance from real life. And hopefully the data logger will tell us the exact details. But it'll be very interesting to see. Very interesting. There's a definite difference. There's a definite difference between the old and the new. I mean, all right, we've seen it on the dyno, we've seen there's 10 extra horsepower in the mid-range, but you can definitely tell a difference. I had 2 bad starts, but I don't know whether that's the exhaust getting, the bike getting used to the exhaust or whatever. I'd probably put it down to rider error. Look, it still gets there bloody fast. And 186 miles an hour, you've got to concentrate a lot. It's a magnificent feat of engineering. I think that the BMW should be extraordinarily happy with themselves. I mean, we saw it when the bike was stripped earlier on. We saw the amount of cabling and wires and everything sort of packed all in, and it's so electronically advanced. Marshall was saying, considering the amount of technology that goes into cars these days, actually they've stuffed a load of it into these things. And for 20 grand, actually, it's a hell of a lot of electronic wizardry that keeps everything in check. Look, launch control, for one, is a terrific feat. It's funny because your brain and your hand are working not in silo, and you're being told, that the machine is capable of keeping it pinned, but all of the things that you've learned in the riding history will tell you that you can't, you shouldn't. Maybe that's the reason for the 2 stuttery starts. Either way, it's a phenomenally quick thing, and the difference you feel between the original SOC system and then the Akrapovic system, you definitely feel it in the mid-range. It pulls and pulls and pulls. And we're talking about the differences between something that's extremely fast and something that's really extremely fast. There's a definite difference in something that's incredibly fast. I can't wait to see the data because I'm certain that anywhere between 50 and 150, there'll be seconds worth of advantage using this exhaust system. Whether that justifies a £1,600 expense, maybe the look and sound you can add into that as well. Anyway, it'll be really interesting to see the data.
Still worrying, and action.